Welcome to the Balanced Flux podcast. I'm Tenny McLeod, and these are my takes on cultivating mental health, enhancing personal productivity, thereby living a balanced life. I hope that you'll be inspired to expand the quality of your life and in turn, empower others along the way. Expect new episodes on Sundays at 1 p.m. UTC on major podcast apps and platforms. And remember that you can always get more information on the website at balancedflux.com. So join me now and every week on this inspiring and fulfilling journey through the Balanced Flux podcast. Ever felt like a fish out of water, awkwardly trying to learn a new skill? Well, that's essentially conscious incompetence, the stage where you're aware of what you don't know. It's a humbling realization that you're a beginner again, fumbling with unfamiliar concepts and stumbling through new experiences and terrain. But before you throw in the towel, remember that conscious incompetence is not a sign of failure, but rather a stepping stone to growth. This stage is characterized by a willingness to learn, a hunger for knowledge, and an openness to new experiences. It's the student eagerly soaking up information, their mind buzzing with new vocabulary and grammar rules as they try to decipher a foreign language, stumbling over pronunciations and struggling to conjugate verbs. It's the athlete pushing their physical limits, muscles aching and lungs burning as they attempt a new exercise routine, each rep a challenge, each set a test of endurance. Or the artist experimenting with different techniques, their canvas filled with bold strokes and unexpected color combinations as they explore a new medium, perhaps switching from oils to watercolors or trying their hand at sculpting for the first time. Yes, conscious incompetence can be a vulnerable state, to say the least. It requires you to admit that you don't have all the answers and that you're not an expert in everything. This can surely be a blow to the ego, especially if you're used to being competent in other areas of your life. You might feel embarrassed, self-conscious, or even ashamed of your lack of knowledge or skill. Imagine trying to learn a new dance move at a party, your body stiff and uncoordinated as everyone else seems to effortlessly glide across the dance floor. The spotlight feels harsh, every misstep magnified, and you can't help but compare yourself to others who seem to have it all figured out. Or picture yourself giving a presentation at work, your voice trembling and your palms sweating as you stumble through your slides, aware of your every stutter and pause, and each bewildered look from your audience. However, this vulnerability is also where the magic happens. By acknowledging your limitations, you open yourself up to new possibilities and opportunities for growth. You become more receptive to feedback, eager to hear constructive criticism and suggestions for improvement, knowing that each piece of advice is a chance to learn and get better. You're more willing to seek help, whether it's from a teacher, a coach, or a more experienced colleague, recognizing that you don't have to go it alone. And you're more eager to learn from your mistakes, recognizing that each misstep is a chance to get up and move forward, one stepping stone at a time on the path to mastery. Think of it like starting a new job. At first, you're surrounded by unfamiliar faces, procedures, and expectations. You might feel overwhelmed and unsure of yourself, like a lost child in a bustling city. But as you learn the ropes, ask questions, and seek guidance from your colleagues, you gradually become more confident and competent. You start to see mistakes not as failures, but as valuable learning experiences, each bringing you closer to excellence. The once confusing jargon becomes second nature, the once daunting tasks become manageable, and you begin to feel like a valued member of the team. Conscious incompetence is, in fact, crucial for personal development. Indeed, you need to tell yourself that you don't have to be perfect and that making mistakes is part of any learning process. This is particularly important, especially when you recognize and address your emotional and psychological challenges, thus improving your well-being. It's about acknowledging that you're not okay, that you need help, and that seeking therapy or counseling is a sign of strength, not weakness. It's about recognizing that you may have detrimental coping mechanisms, such as substance abuse or self-harm, and seeking healthful alternatives is absolutely vital. It's also about understanding that you can have patterns of negative thinking that are holding you back and learning to reframe those challenging thoughts. Embracing conscious incompetence is not always easy. It requires humility, the ability to put aside your pride and admit that you have much to learn and overcome. It requires patience and the understanding that growth is a slow and steady process that takes time and effort. It also necessitates a willingness to step outside of your comfort zone, try new things, and why even risk failure. But the rewards are well worth all the effort you put in. By embracing the learning curve, you expand your knowledge, develop new skills, and ultimately become a more well-rounded and capable individual. So, the next time you find yourself feeling incompetent, take a deep breath and remember that it's all part of the process. Just make sure you wholeheartedly embrace the challenge, seek out guidance, and never stop learning. And that's a wrap for this week's episode of the Balanced Flux podcast. A new episode drops every Sunday at 1 p.m. UTC on major podcast apps and platforms. You can also listen to the podcast and extend your support through the website at balancedflux.com. This podcast is intended for informational and educational purposes only. Kindly seek the appropriate care and treatment from licensed professionals. Do join the community on social channels and send your messages there or via email. Either way, if this podcast sparks some form of inspiration, I'd be more than glad to hear from you. Thank you for sharing your time and mind space. Your presence and engagement truly make this journey even more fulfilling and rewarding. I'm Tenny McLeod, signing off for now, and until the next time, stay safe, best wishes, and keep striving to achieve your balanced flux.